One of the questions I would like to ask you is, how big a factor was the USAID's inability in this case to secure land titles in moving forward? And I see the project was delayed by 2 years. And knowing what we know about property rights in Haiti and some of the past discussions we've had about this issue, were the goals realistic given the morass of inability to a fixed title and so forth?
Right. I think there's no question that land titling and land ownership in Haiti is at best arcane, historically a paper record system at most, that many of the archives that did contain what existed of property records were damaged or destroyed in the earthquake. It's worth recognizing that most of the government's structures were literally collapsed in Port-au-Prince after the earthquake. 17% of the Haitian government civil servants were killed in the earthquake, and probably a third were subsequently displaced or left their positions. But with respect to land titling, in particular, the building of homes in Port-au-Prince, I think, was sacrificed by the absence of land title, the ability to gain land title, and very limited options for government land in the immediate Port-au-Prince area. So that the original plan was to build most of the homes in Port-au-Prince, right, but eventually most of the land was available outside.
Who in the Haitian government, if you happen to know, insisted upon the very costly design changes, and what was the purpose?
Well,
what was their purpose for that?
I'd have to get you the answer on who exactly within the Haitian government made that request. I do know that it came at the ministry level from the Haitian government, and that the interest was for larger homes and to include indoor plumbing, so that these would be exceptional homes by Haitian standards without question. At this point, they're built at approximately 450 square feet, and they are excellent homes that are built to a very high standard.
Reportedly, a few Haitian senators decided they were not getting a big enough, I guess kickback would be the word to use here, on construction in their districts. And so they insisted upon costly design changes. You never know when you're reading these accounts or hearing these accounts what is behind a delay like this. But the argument was that those changes could not be justified. And the question, of course, would be, did USAID roll over in a situation like this and finally concur in order to move forward with something that seriously, on the face of it, couldn't be justified? And that speaks to the broader issue of the endemic corruption and the exposure of U.S. assistance to waste and fraud and abuse in a situation like this, and indeed what can be done to counter these types of circumstances where something goes on years longer, Dr. Goodnick, than had been intended. You look at the cost overruns. We underestimated the cost by 433% per plot, I guess, in your study, and 193% per house. And the schedule ends up 2 years behind schedule. Your observations on that?
Well, the cost escalation occurred really in a number of different phases, and this is outlined in our report. The initial estimate of $2,000 per plot and $8,000 per home came originally in some of the activity approval documents, the early documents that AID submitted for review that formed the basis of their initial goals and their cost, the estimates of the cost. Subsequently, AID got formal independent government estimates and just before letting contracts, and found that the cost had risen. So that was the first escalation. A second escalation occurred when they first got bids back, which were found to be actually higher than the independent government estimates. And then finally, the Haitian government's request for the larger and improved homes added yet another cost increase. I'm not specifically familiar with the issue of corruption that you mentioned, although it's fair to say corruption is felt to be endemic in Haiti. I will say that one of the features of the rising costs would be the interest in using local building materials. I know that AID would have wanted to use local building materials, but for example, with respect to concrete, when some testing was done, it was found to be inadequate and would not have proved to be a sufficient home.
I understand. We'll go now to our ranking member, Mr. Engel from New York.